What's going on YouTube? So the Lexus LX is Lexus's flagship vehicle and also a very rugged SUV. And it's getting even more rugged for 2025 with the refresh adding an Overtrail trim level. That's what we have with us today. Not only are we going to look at the outside, see what enhancements you get on the inside, but we're going to take it out on a off-road trail to show you some of the capability and go on a street drive. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. So beginning here up front, obviously the LX has always had a very bold design that does continue for 2025. And as you can see, we just have this really massive spindle grille up here in the front. The Overtrail does get dark finishes to give it a little bit more of an aggressive look that goes all through here as well as over here on the sides. And then you have this little accent down here at the bottom. Now, speaking of down here at the bottom, let's talk a little bit about ground clearance. So of course, you're gonna have a lot really no matter what. This has a height adjustable suspension, so we've got at least 8.9 inches of ground clearance. However, you can actually change the settings, and with this Overtrail, you can go up to an additional 4.5 inches. That's absolutely insane, and it's really gonna be able to handle even the most intense off-road obstacles. Taking a look at our lighting, signature Lexus lighting. We've got those triple beam headlights with the arrowhead daytime running light and turn signal indicator, plus all versions get LED fog lights down at the bottom. Moving on to our wheels, as you can see, these are ready to rumble a lot more than those big 22s that you get on most of the other trim levels. These are 18-inch alloy wheels. We've got a matte black finish for the actual rim itself, and then of course, the bigger news is what's wrapped around it. We have 33-inch all-terrain tires giving you a lot more grip. And then as we move on from that, you'll notice throughout the vehicle, you've got kind of a mixture of gloss black and kind of gray accent. The mirror actually has both of those things. So we have gloss black on the top and bottom, a gray accent through the center. These are fully loaded, of course, as you expect for a flagship SUV. At the side of the LX, we have an overall vehicle length a little over 200 inches long, and this vehicle does share a platform with the Land Cruiser 300 series. So even though we don't have that in the US, this is essentially kind of like our version of it, except it's going to be even more luxurious. Now, as far as some of the design elements are concerned, we do have blacked out door handles. All of our wheel surrounds are also gloss black. They are a little bit dirty right now. We did take this vehicle off-roading, so no, we did not have the chance to wash it before filming. And then we do have some kind of darkened chrome through here as well as black roof rails. Now, as we head around to the rear of this LX Overtrail, it's going to look mostly the same as any other LX has in the past. So it has a lot of the premium elements, but it also looks very tough. So up top we have a spoiler, we have a integrated wiper, and then through the center section we have these giant LED taillights. Now, of course, this is Lexus flagship SUV, so every single element of this taillight unit is LED, including the brake light, the reverse light, and then you have a gigantic amber turn signal indicator down below. Dropping to the lower fascia, this is going to be a matte black as well as some silver accents. Even though this is the LX 700h, so the new hybrid model, it does still tow 8,000 pounds regardless of if you choose this powertrain or the LX 600. Now, when it comes to your safety systems, Lexus has refreshed that this year as well. So you go from Lexus Safety Suite 2.5 to 3.0. When you make that switch, not only are you going to continue to get every single system as standard equipment, you're also going to gain a few new features like front cross traffic alert, as well as traffic jam assist. So you're getting all the latest and greatest thrown in here on their flagship. But they've also thrown in more features on the inside, one of which I'm sure you're going to be very happy about. So let's dive into that. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12 and 16. We started young, and since then we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point. No matter what you're looking for, from sound level readings to cargo measurements, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. All right, now let's move to the interior of the Overtrail. First, we've got our key fob here, signature Lexus key fob. you have standard smart entry. And that means to get inside, just grab behind the handle, and that will unlock the door. Now, none of the LXs come with power deploying running boards. Obviously, the Overtrail will be no exception to that. But taking a look at the interior of this model, let's talk about what it gives you, beginning with the seats. So Overtrail, along with pretty much every other trim except for the base premium model, give you semi-aniline leather. So Lexus pointed out, unlike the GX Overtrail that gets new lux, this gets the super upscale semi-aniline leather. Very soft and supple. I love the perforation and stitching details. This is just the classic black, but they do have a brand new interior color option for the first time. It's called Stone Brown. Gives you kind of a little bit of a richer experience. That's the way I would want to go. Down below, we've got 14 ways of power adjustment. We also have a power thigh extension, 4-way lumbar. Of course, you've got memory seats as well. But let's go ahead and climb inside. Getting in is nice and easy. You have soft closing doors. And before I forget, I do want to talk about really a big improvement that they've made for 2025 in the LX lineup, and that's the fact that we have massaging seats for the driver and the passenger. That's standard in all but the premium grade, and really is a nice addition. It grabs you. It's a good massage. They can get aggressive if you turn the settings up in the display. There's not a hard button over there on the seat. Now, we need to talk about the rest of the cabin material, so we'll start out over here. Got the nice leather that runs all through here, as well as the center section. A nice, beautiful open pore wood. This is a dark finish here with this Overtrail. Soft touch plastic up there. Leatherette through here. More that runs through here and even covers this part of the glove box. Big chunks of the open pore wood running through here, and it is going to be padded and, of course, extremely solid as we expect from the LX Flagship. Let's fire it up with the push button start up here in the display. That fires up so quietly. Wow. Let's take a look at the gauge cluster. So this is actually new this year. We've got the full digital cluster now, just like some of the other models in the Lexus lineup. It's 12.3 inches. You can fully customize all of these regions to whatever information that you want to display, including off-road information, of course. In addition to that, we've got a very large head-up display. And then as we pull back to the steering wheel, really nice leather-wrapped design on board. I'm noticing the Overtrail doesn't have the wood trim integrated in like the luxury model does, but it is still power tilt and telescoping. It's still heated. You still have rain sensing wipers. And you still get plenty of interior storage. So when I open this up, inside you're going to notice that we've got the cool box. This cuts down your storage just a little bit, but it's standard on every hybrid model and gives you the ability to cool down drinks, different types of things that you might want to keep cold. You just press that button there, and it sends all that nice cooled, air-conditioned air right in there. It opens up from 2 directions, by the way, as well. We have a new standard wireless phone charging pad across the entire lineup, and we've got a nice storage cubby up there in the front. You'll notice the shifter itself is smaller than it is in the LX 600. That's because the 700H gets the electronic style shifter. So you press over to the left, pull back for drive, do the opposite for reverse. When you go into reverse, here's our 360-degree camera system. As you can see, nice views on board with this. This is, of course, also very useful off-road, and we'll demonstrate the use of that a little later in the video. Back here, you've got your electronic parking brake. You have some buttons for your suspension, as well as your center locking diff. And then you've got a lot of other, of course, off-road buttons, including our drive mode selection. All through here are related to, off-roading, 4-wheel drive controls. Again, we'll get into more details with that later on. You have this screen here that also kind of breaks that down. So this screen doubles kind of as off-road control center and also as the climate control. So you just press that. Now we've got the climate up. Although we do still have physical controls to make the adjustments very easily through there. This is a 4-zone automatic climate control system. It does have climate concierge. You have automatic heated and ventilated seats as well with 3 stages each. Now coming above here, let's take a look at our audio system, or listen to it, I should say. We've got the 25 speaker Mark Levinson sound system on the Overtrail. Let's give it a sample. Yeah, that song is a nice demonstration of just the different balances of the sound system. It's really good. It certainly fills up this big cabin really well. And like I said, has good balance overall between bass and highs. Okay, let's take a look now at the infotainment system. So this is a 12.3-inch display. This actually hasn't changed for the 2025 model. So you'll notice, of course, that if you're familiar with the Lexus lineup, 14 inches is what you get in the RX, the GX, some of their other models. This is a little smaller than that, but of course your climate controls are actually separated in this area instead of being integrated into the screen. So really it's about the same difference in practice. Now you have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. That's what I'm in right now. It looks really nice on the display. It's good and responsive. If I go back into the Lexus display, of course, as I say it's responsive, it starts lagging. As we go back into the Lexus infotainment system itself, you have built-in navigation. You can get to a lot of different vehicle settings right here. If you're curious of how you turn the massaging seats on, that's where you do that. And this is where you can switch your different intensities and settings that you want. Up top here, we've got the auto-dimming mirror. HomeLink universal remotes. It is a camera system as well, so it cuts out the back obstructions. Nice, really soft headliner. And then Lexus has not added a panoramic sunroof. That goes for the entire lineup, not just the Overtrail. You'll have to make do with the standard size.
All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the LX's rear seat. Now, this has always been a great spot for a lot of luxury amenities and also a good amount of space, so let's dive into that first. About 36.6 inches of legroom and 39 inches of headroom. That's what you're going to be rated at for the LX. Now, it's going to obviously depend on what you're comparing this model to, how that compares favorably or not. An Escalade will be quite a bit larger here in the second row, as well as other things like a Lincoln Navigator, Infiniti QX80. So keep that in mind, but it's still a good amount of space, especially, for a normal size adult like myself. I'm 5'9". This seat is adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8", and we are looking at about 7 inches of additional knee room, so plenty of space. My feet can slide up underneath of the seat, and I do want to point out these seats do not slide forward and back, so they're just fixed in position. However, you can recline them a decent amount. So that definitely makes things a little bit more comfortable. If we fold down the armrest, we do have 2 cup holders inside. Now, I do want to point out that you can get the ultra luxury version. That's actually going to be 4-passenger seating and include really bougie features. It has a center armrest area, massaging back seats, in addition to other features. So certainly a very nice touch. That is a pretty pricey model though, so keep that in mind. Now, as far as other features that, just your regular LX Overtrail would get, you have 2 vents back here. You also have vents that come out of the ceiling, so I like that you're getting, 2 vents for each person. Additionally, we have 4 zones of climate, so as you can see, each of the passengers back here can adjust their own temperature. That's really quite nice. And here on the Overtrail, we have 3-stage heated and 3-stage ventilated seats. That's actually surprisingly a standard feature on every single LX this year because they have eliminated that base model. Just be aware of this big hump here in the middle, so for the middle passenger, that's going to be a little uncomfortable. Additionally, we do have a 12-volt outlet as well as 2 USB-C ports. Over on the door trim, we have a nicely done one, a lot of soft touch plastic, and we also have rear window sunshades to keep the sun out of our eyes, more of that wood trim, and a decent amount of storage down in the very bottom. And now let's go ahead and talk about the third row. Now, specifically for the Overtrail, I do want to point out that you do have a third row delete. So if you don't want the third row, that is an option here on the Overtrail. A lot of people, if you do a lot of off-roading or you're very hardcore about it or never use the third row, you can option for that, but the vast majority of LXs will have a third row standard, so let's go ahead and take a look at it. In order to get back here, you just grab this little lever. When you grab that lever, it's going to fold the seats and flip them out of the way. Do be aware you would definitely have to remove a child seat with this folding mechanism, though. Now, as we climb back into the third row itself, that's going to be an area where you might be a little disappointed with this LX. The legroom itself is actually pretty good. 31 inches of legroom and about 35 inches of headroom. The headroom is going to be a little tight for someone who's 5'9", although the legroom is actually not really that bad. I can kind of stick the tip of my toe in just a little bit. The thing that's really not great is the thigh support. The thigh support is pretty bad in this LX, and there are only going to be 2 seats back here. The reason why the thigh support is so bad is because this vehicle definitely prioritizes the off-road capability by being that body on-frame structure, and they didn't want to compromise on any of those things, such as, you know, vehicles like the Escalade, where the third row is a lot better, but has compromised off-road dynamics. Now, let's talk about some of the features, because they do kind of spice it up with the features. We have 2 cup holders, we have a USB-C port, as well as the ability to recline these seats just a little bit so you can, you know, kind of scoot them up and back to make yourself a little bit more comfortable. We also have vents coming out of the ceiling. So overall, how it rates on our third row rating scale, I'm going to say this is fit for the in-laws, because you're not going to want to be back here for too long. Now, walking up to the tailgate, we do have, of course, a hands-free power one, as expected. Now, let's talk about this. So, you heard me at the third row say that you do make some compromises for that off-road capability. That's certainly going to take hold here in the cargo area, because compared to most flagship SUVs in this price range, certainly they're going to have a lot more cargo space in this. Behind the third row of seats, we're sitting at 7 cubic feet. So that's going to be enough for maybe a few bags, maybe a little trip to the groceries. You might be able to have the third row up. Now, if you fold the seats down, all of them, as a maximum, you're looking at about 62 cubic feet. So that's honestly about half the size of a Cadillac Escalade, for instance. So just keep that in mind. You do make a sacrifice for the off-road capability of this product. Now, if you choose the versions without a third row, that does mean that your cargo capacity would be increased just a little bit, so be aware of that. Now, let's talk about why the cargo capacity is a little bit less. As you can see, Lexus has done a shelving system. So similar to something like the Toyota Sequoia, where the battery is actually going to be elevated out of the cargo floor, for this LX 700H, they added this shelf to make it completely flat when you fold the seats down. So as you can see, I'm going to go ahead and power fold the third row of seats down, which is standard equipment, by the way. And when you do that, it is going to give you a flat loading floor. It's also worth noting that if you choose the fully gas LX 600 model, you will have a little bit more cargo capacity because you're not going to have the battery pack elevated off of the floor, so keep that in mind. As far as folding the second row of seats, there are not any handles to do that, so I will have to do that from the second row itself, so let me go ahead and do it. And now that I've got those seats folded down, as you can see, it actually makes for a relatively flat floor all the way across with this shelf. And as far as cargo length, width, and height, that's something we do in all of our Car Confections reviews. From behind Drew's 5'8" driving position, we're looking at 79 inches of cargo length. From behind the second row of seats, you can expect approximately 44 inches of length. From behind the third row of seats, that's where it starts to get a little small. You can expect, 10 inches of length. As far as overall width, about 45 inches wide. And then height, it would be a lot better if you didn't have the raised floor, but 27 inches is your realistic measure. As you can see, this whole system here is costing you about 6 or 7 inches of overall height. So just keep that in mind if you're loading in big, tall objects. That's a big deal. And we do have a really nice feature on the hybrid LX 700H. You have a very powerful outlet here that can actually do things like appliances. You could have a little mini fridge for all of your tailgating needs. Additionally, this is an Overtrail after all. As you would expect, you do have a big full-size spare tire integrated underneath of the bumper. Alright guys, so as always, we'll be covering quite a lot in this test drive, as you can see on the screen right now. We'll also be getting things like our sound level reading. But first we want to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration.
Very nice, very nice. You can really feel that extra torque that the hybrid system is adding in. So of course, we talked about this being the 700H, and what does that mean? Well, of course that means that this is a big number, a big hybrid system with a lot more power than the old model. So we're looking at a bump of about 40 horsepower and over 100 pound-feet of extra torque on board with this hybrid system, which builds off of the foundation the same as the LX 600, a 3.4 liter twin turbocharged V6 engine. Total system power is 457, and then our pound-feet of torque is a very impressive 583.
Yeah, those are really, really impressive numbers. Over 100 pound-feet more torque than the LX 600, and wow, do you feel that when you press your foot down on the gas? It really just shoots you back in your seat, which is crazy for an SUV of this size to really have that level of acceleration. You can certainly feel the benefits of the electrification. Now, like Drew said, they will actually still have the LX 600. So if you aren't wanting to pay the extra for the hybrid or just don't want any form of hybridization, you can still get the LX 600. That's going to have just the same 3.5 liter twin turbo V6, no electrification, 409 horsepower, 479 pound-feet of torque. We've spent a week with that model. It's certainly quick enough. This is a flagship SUV after all. You'd expect it to be pretty quick even in its standard form. Indeed it is, but this I think is a pretty big upgrade over the standard motor setup.
Yeah, Lexus says this goes 0 to 60 in about a half second faster. Honestly, it feels faster than that behind the wheel. I feel like at least the illusion of all that extra torque and it hits instantaneously really makes it feel like it's quite a bit faster in real life. All right, sport mode acceleration from a stop. Nice. You really feel that torque come on hard. Lexus actually says that they do change the tuning a little bit with the hybrid system when you choose to go into the sport mode, because it just kind of makes that electric torque come on faster instead of building more gradually.
Yeah. Now, as far as the transmission is concerned, we do have a 10-speed automatic. You saw it, play out there. It's definitely smooth enough to give you the crisp shifts in sport mode, but also if you're in normal mode, we've been behind the wheel of several LX 700s today, and behind the wheel of those, it really just blends right into the background, which is exactly what you want out of a luxury SUV, that's for sure. Now, of course, this is the Overtrail model, and that means that we do have quite a lot of off-road capability, including standard four-wheel drive on every single LX. That's how power is routed to the ground. And we do have the opportunity to show you guys a little bit of, just a little bit of the taste of this LX and its off-road capability. We won't be fully pushing it to the limits, but we can show you guys a little bit of a sample of that. So we'll go ahead and cut to that so you can see what this LX is capable of in its Overtrail trim level new this year. All right, so you can see that we're starting to do some of the demonstration. We're tilting already at a big angle, and really one of the things about this Overtrail is that Lexus is saying that now you can buy it from the factory with all those things that people really find useful in situations like this. The triple lockers and all the models, even the standard versions, have a center locking differential, so certainly a very off-road capable vehicle in any form, but definitely more so here in the Overtrail trim. As you can see, we're going to be going up a very steep grade here. We are going straight up.
This is when you need that off-road camera system, which we do have.
Oh my. We are straight up. Also, the additional ground clearance with this model is obviously very helpful. We are really tilting.
So this, of course, is a rock crawl setup.
So in addition to the over 8 inches of ground clearance you get as standard, the LX can elevate up to 4.5 inches taller for stuff exactly like this. All right, so now that you've seen some of the capability of this LX Overtrail, certainly there's a lot of that going on. This is one of the very most off-road capable vehicles. Let's come back to our street portion here because, at least here in the U.S., a lot of you buyers will be, just kind of doing this, driving on the highway or driving it to dropping your kids off at school, those types of things. And I do want to discuss ride quality because Lexus has made some changes to the variable suspension setup this year, some slight tweaks, and overall ride quality is pretty good in this model. The thing I do want to point out is that even though we do have a height adjustable suspension, it is not an air suspension. So depending on what SUVs you might be cross-shopping the LX with, for instance, a Cadillac Escalade, an Infiniti QX80, those vehicles do have full air suspensions, which do a little bit better of a job of isolating out all the vibrations from the body on frame platform. This does have a little bit of that truck-like feel. So you will notice that when it comes to ride, especially if you're cross-shopping between those models. However, overall, I'm very happy with the ride of this LX, and I think here in the Overtrail, it does even have a better ride than some of the other versions. And the reason I'd say that is because we do have smaller wheels, the big 33-inch tires on the outside, which help soak up some of those large intrusions that would make it into the cabin. And we'll test this out later, but I don't really hear a lot of tire noise. And we are going at 55 miles per hour, so I think it's about time for us to get our sound level reading in this LX. 700h, so their flagship hybrid. We went ahead and put it on fan speed 1, and the rear climate is off, so let's see what we get. Looks like we've settled in. It looks like we have settled in at 55.5 decibels. I do want to note that we are here in California on a media drive, so that's something to keep in mind, but we don't have to sit here and guess how it compares to other flagships. We can go to carconfections.com/sound level readings, and on our website we've posted all of the other flagship SUVs as well as some of the other LX models that you could be looking at. Now, that's not going to place this as like the quietest flagship SUV. It is also going to place it as just a little bit louder than the LX 700h Luxury that we tested out earlier today. So, like I said, those all-terrain tires on the outside, they do contribute to some more noise entering into the
just
cabin.
A little.
But not by much at all. I can't really exactly remember what the Luxury was, but I think it's about a decibel difference.
It's like 54 or something.
It's not really much of a difference at all, so that's something to keep in mind, and we were on the exact same strip of road.
All right, let's get into today's Slam Dunk and Airball. For the Slam Dunk, we're going to have to say it's the addition of this new Overtrail trim level. I think this is really just what everybody's been waiting on, especially the off-road enthusiasts that have been very sad about not having the Land Cruiser 300 series in the US. We now have the smaller one. This basically is that, right? It's just that, except that we have even more luxury on board. So it really is just a very great experience in terms of going off-road and still having a lot of luxury in your day-to-day life.
Yeah. On the Airball side of things, what we're going to say is just some of those practicality elements that you are going to be sacrificing by choosing the LX. This is a very off-road focused vehicle, and because of that, it is going to have a compromised third row, less cargo capacity. Those types of things is the sacrifice that you will be making for that off-road capability. So especially if you're cross-shopping between some of the other flagships, Escalade, QX80, Lincoln Navigator, those will have a ton more space and a lot more usable of a third row. So just know you do pay a little bit of a price for that ultimate capability. And a few last housekeeping things. You might be curious about fuel economy. When it comes to this, the hybrid does actually get better fuel economy than the standard 600, even though it does have more power. Lexus is estimating it'll be rated at 20 miles per gallon combined. The regular LX 600 will be rated at 19 mpg, so a 1 mpg improvement. So certainly it's more on the more focused on the performance side of things than really increasing your fuel economy a ton. But it's not a win-win. It's a win-win situation, if you ask me, to get more power and better fuel economy. So that's something to keep in mind. And let's discuss pricing for the LX. Now, it isn't going to come cheap, that's for sure. The LX has always been kind of expensive, and it actually gets more expensive this year as a base price because that base model is gone. $106,850 is the starting point for the LX 600 Premium. You do get standard four-wheel drive. There are a lot of different trim levels, but the hybrid model starts at this Overtrail actually, $115,350. Now, you can go all the way up to $141,000 if you'd like for the LX 700H Ultra Luxury. This particular model is sitting at about $118,000 as tested today. If you're looking to buy a Lexus LX or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. We even have a monthly payment tool as well if you'd like to check that out. Once again, a link to that is provided in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video. But buying a vehicle is about more than just the original MSRP, so let's dive into resale and reliability. First up, let's talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, Drew and I took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Lexus LX's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, it'll be worth 53.8% of original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 28.1%. Now, it's worth noting that is a very good resale value by percentage. It's actually the best luxury brand in terms of resale value, and it is even above industry average for every vehicle brand, including mainstream options. I do also want to make a special note about the LX. The LX is one of the highest resale value luxury SUVs that money can buy, so just keep that in mind. These do tend to retain their value very nicely.
Now, we've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several studies from trustworthy sources and combines them in a way that gives you a more holistic picture. In this regard, Lexus is rated as well above average. It is actually the #1 luxury brand in terms of overall reliability.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our reliability data or resale data or our methodology, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a new vehicle is a big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. Well, guys, that's going to be it for our in-depth review of the all-new 2025 Lexus LX 700H Overtrail. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decision, which we hope you did, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to get the latest car reviews such as this, and you're also going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel, and I promise you won't want to miss out. So do yourself a favor, subscribe down below. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.